So thank you very much for showing up today and being your authentic selves. It was a very interesting activity that we enjoyed, and Tara is going to kill me when I talk about this. She was talking, was he the person you would want to marry? Dwayne. Was that the person you would want to marry? Okay. Well, I do too, so we don't have to fight it out. But it was interesting because she put in a green little bead, or whatever you call it. And later in the conversation, I said to her, but he's biracial, so why didn't you pick Pacific Islander versus green? And what we see when we actually see people. And then myself did the same thing. I shared with them that all my brothers have biracial kids. But when I looked into what I picked, I associated it with green. And so what do we carry with us? And what are the things that we work on? Because we see people in a particular way. And so the conversation was rich. So Tiffany, thank you very much. And Annalisa, are you here somewhere today? Oh, hey. So do you remember talking about White Trash, the book, with me and Kristen? Yes, so when you all come and talk to us, we actually had a conversation about, Tara said in 20 years that most of us would be multiracial. That's what experts are saying. And so we got into this conversation because Annalisa gave Kristen and I this book, White Trash. Kristen's done with it. I'm not. But part of the book is around historical practices. And I said, do you think we ever get there? Because there are still people in this country. I looked into Robert and said, I've been in the Deep South, and I don't know if those things changes. But what we do know is that we should always be respectful. We've been having conversations around civil discourse. And civil discourse doesn't have to be discord, because we can agree to disagree, but still do what's right for whether it's our country or whether it's our school district to get the best answer. So, interesting activity, very good activity, and very appreciative of that. As we move forward, I'm going to be really on script today because there's a lot of information that I'm supposed to share with you. Lindsay, are you near? Just so, Lindsay Anderson? Oh, hi. Good. I have about 10 minutes and then you're up. Okay, great. So, as part of our district's commitment, we have a strategic plan, and that plan that takes us to Envisions 2020. We will be working on revamping that plan over the next year, and we're looking at a portrait of a graduate. It will be a big task. We're in the planning opportunities now. But for the plan we have, as you monitor your school improvement plans, it is our job to monitor our district plan. And at this week's board meeting, staff members, chiefs provided information on achieving some of those goals in the 2018-2019 plan, which included highlights, challenges, and the strategic activities and motions. We're also going to share that in the Friday Minute with the staff. Even though there was a lot of information, there's a couple things I want to share with you. As we continue to make progress toward our goal of 90 by 20, we know last year we had a graduation rate of 84.4. We continue to move students. I'll tell you, in my visits, there's been amazing stories. And actually, this week at Hug High, like Kristen and I was trying not to bawl. And it wasn't because I was actually sad. I was so amazed at the resiliency and grit at one of the students who talked about her home life. And it was just amazing to hear things from kids. And I'm thinking, I probably wouldn't have been able to have that kind of grit and resiliency. But it's because of the work that you all do every day to put wraparound services around students who have a variety of issues in their lives. And when she actually talked about anything under the sun that could happen to you happened to me, and I was not going to be on track. And I think in her sophomore year she had 5 credits or something like that. But she's on track to graduate today. And that is not because of me or Kristen. That is because of people in the building providing wraparound services to get her through. But we hear these stories at every school we go to. So it's not just like it was Hug. Hug just happened to be the school I was at. I'm always thinking about when Chris Hackbush told me a story about his kid that worked at Starbucks that didn't make it to the finish line, right? And she didn't make it. But he always talks about going to check on her because she works at Starbucks. And that's the stories that we tell. We tell that, wow, We don't reach every kid because there's circumstances. Each one of you are doing amazing things to get kids to the finish line. And that finish line to graduation doesn't start in high school, it starts in pre-K and kindergarten. So as we look at this work that we do, we work as a team to get all those students there. We will be progress monitoring SBAC scores. We're going to talk about last year, we talked about we dipped a little bit in some areas, and there's areas of opportunity for us to grow, but there's also some areas of strength. We've spent a lot of time in this district using money to pay for things that did not have to do with instruction. So as we look at Debbie Beiersdorf, the area superintendent, the professional development team to put stuff together, looking at making sure we have core tier 1 instructions for every school. We did the math adoption, we're working on the reading, and we'll talk a little bit about the budget, but that also becomes a challenge for us as we look at how we spend money. As we look at our innovative English language development model, our goal is to continue to increase exit rates by the 6th grade. What a phenomenal job. I think we need to give a hand of applause to that department because there's some phenomenal things happening. And that new model will be expanding to 10 more elementary schools this year. We're working to build our teacher capacity at more schools around the language data for instructional planning. And although we don't have data this year, we are seeing some positive trends already. In Goal 2, we strive to attract, recruit, hire, and retain highly effective personnel. And we have human resources here at this table. Let's give them a hand. They're the ones who try to find those people for you to go into that pool. We've exceeded the target of the goals that we have for human resources, but if you watch the board meeting, you would hear me talk. Did anybody watch the board meeting? We have conflicting also objectives. Part of it says that we will hire out of the ARL pod, we will hire out of a support staff pod, and I'm telling the board it should be we need to hire and have no vacancies, but principals need the autonomy to hire who they think fits their building and not get into directing the pots of where you hire at. So we're going to continue to work on that. Effective, yeah, you should clap, but you don't want me telling you who to hire in your buildings because I wouldn't want anybody telling me who to hire. Effective communication with all our stakeholders is important. The Friday minute rate has increased by 10%, and it is now above industry average. We are striving to continue to increase that with relevant, timely information. You've probably seen some changes to the Friday minute. That came directly from teachers and staff through surveys, and we will continue to provide you with the important information. Our communications department provides district families and community to a variety of things, which includes Facebook, videos, live feeds, and we will continue to do that, and we will continue to look at other opportunities to share our information as we continue to fight the battle in the media. We will continue to provide safe and learning environments for our students. School police and our emergency managers have completed 100% of staff trainings on the emergency operation plans. So thank you for doing that because we know it takes the school and the school police. Now, Lindsay, I'm getting close. Getting close. So, you've probably been watching and hopefully keeping track. Our Governor Sisolak has said time and time again and expressed his intent to give a 3% raise to all educators in Nevada. And when I say all educators, all employees of all districts. We share the governor's goal of a 3% raise for employees, and we understand he's directed that money to go into the funding. However, this is always tricky because of how the money washes out by the time it goes through the complicated algorithm in NDE. And we've talked about our budget shortfall. As you know, we actually did include the 3% budget, the 3% raises in the budget, but I want to talk about where we historically have come from. We were carrying over a $40 million structural deficit. We actually got that structural deficit down to about $6.5 million or so. The goal is to not have a structural deficit so that we don't every time get up in front of the budget, the district is short money again. However, when we include the 3% in to the debt is $17.7 million. And that brings our fund balance to 3.5%. And that's a negative thing to have because we have to pay our bills. It is super complicated. But at the end of the day, the way we receive our money basis the way we get on paychecks, that creates a huge problem for payroll. So we are working with the legislature and the governor. We believe in that proposed raise, but how is that money going to be funneled down? And it's collectively bargained. It's not like we can just say here. There are bargaining units, and we've talked with the governor about that, but his goal is still to give everyone a 3% raise. The district is looking at different options in order to balance our budget and meet our financial goals. The board has already taken major steps, as I talked about the deficit coming down. I think what's important to note is that we have worked strongly with the governor, but the 3% raise is a one-year raise only. In the second year, it is 0% because of the biennium. And I know some staff, you know, we've had some emails that say, oh, the first year we get 3%, then the next year we get 3%. That is not what he is suggesting. His suggestion is 3% the first year, 0% the next year. We continue to work with the governor's office. There are also factors that negatively affect our budget, and there are a lot of things that are still unknown, and Lindsay will come up and talk a little bit about this. We know the lack of uncertainty about the budget affects the morale of everyone in the organization. As we went out and did our morning meetings, we heard about non-resource-driven items, but resource-driven items always came up to some degree. Our commitment will always be to our students and our employees and what you do. And let me see. So, Carson City, the budget. It is a very complicated, Lindsay, you can come up here as I get ready to introduce you to talk about some of this. Yesterday we were in Carson City most of the day trying to figure some things out, asking for some relief through law. And then this morning at 7 o'clock we were on a conference call, and this is a time of year where every moment counts because there's twists and turns. Lindsay is going to provide you with an update, but I also suggest that if there's something you're not sure about or you're like, how is that panning out, give Lindsay an email or email me and we will get you an answer. But I think it's critical that you all are paying attention to what is happening. There's some good movement around. We are almost to no retention in grade by 3. Please say yes. 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 And a special thanks to all of you who went to testify. A special thanks to Kristen, who went to testify, and a special thanks to Lindsay, who read my testimony in because we had a board meeting. I want to allow Lindsay some time to talk about a few of the things that are evolving and happening that will impact districts. So Lindsay, come up. Do you want?